So remember that South Korean warship that sank back in March? An international investigation found that North Korea was responsible for that disaster, amplifying the tension on the peninsula to the point of peril. But now a South Korean newspaper is reporting that the sinking happened because of a mine and not a North Korean torpedo. So what does this all mean? Well, RT contributor and investigative journalist Wayne Madsen is here to explain. So Wayne, you know, the South Korean newspaper is referring to an investigation by a Russian crew that said that this was in fact because of a mine and not a North Korean torpedo. Tell us a little bit more about the findings and this report.
Well, there was a couple of key points in the Russian investigation. One is that the Russians found out that the explosion took place 4 minutes before the official time that the North Koreans said it took place. That's pretty critical when you're talking about something, the difference between, say, a torpedo, which was alleged North Korea used on this South Korean ship, the Cheonan, and a mine. And the Russians said that the torpedo uncovered looked like it had been in the water prior to this explosion, 6 months or longer before the actual explosion took place, that the lettering was non-standard lettering in the Korean language, and clearly there had been other people, including some very large newspapers, have looked at this and thought it was rather strange that it looked like the lettering had been actually painted over rust on the torpedo. Now, there have been some reports that this particular torpedo was of German manufacture and to NATO standards, and that Germany had only sold this torpedo to 3 other countries, Norway, Italy, and Israel, never to North Korea. So where did the torpedo come from? The more time goes by, the more questions are being raised. The idea that North Korea was behind this is starting to, it's already, you know, South Koreans are very skeptical, many of them, about this. And now we see even the Los Angeles Times reporting the skepticism by the South Koreans.
But this was supposed to be, you know, a very thorough international investigation. I mean, was there any solid proof behind this claim that North Korea was behind it?
The international investigators, of course, came from countries that are very close to the U.S. United Nations military presence on the Korean Peninsula. So as far as it being a non-biased investigation, many South Koreans aren't buying it. North Korea, of course, didn't buy it. And there's a lot of skepticism from China and Japan, because many in Japan feel that this may have been used as a cause to keep the U.S. military base in Okinawa, which ultimately led to the downfall of the Hatuyama government and replacement by somebody much more pro-U.S.
And elaborate on that. You know, you kind of chuckled and said it was, you know, wasn't really an unbiased investigation. I mean, who were the players involved, and who would benefit from having tension between North and South Korea? Well,
we've had, you know, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton over there rattling the sabers against North Korea recently, even against China on some islands in the South China Sea that are disputed. The people who have a vested interest are those who would like to increase tensions in Asia, and certainly when we, you know, with all the talk about the leak of these documents from WikiLeaks, we're already involved in Afghanistan and Iraq. This is very critical, because this, if there's a smoking gun, that this could have been a setup, this was some sort of accident made to look like hostile action, or it was some sort of false flag attack, this could result in war against a nuclear-armed country, North Korea, which is much more important than wars that we're unfortunately already involved with.
Yeah, and you know, I was just going to ask you, today is the last day between joint military exercises between South Korea and the United States. North Korea, as you pointed out, has said that if provoked, they will respond with military action. Do you think all of this kind of muscle flexing and, you know, these military exercises that are going on is going to lead to military conflicts between North and South Korea?
Well, North Korea is not the country you want to play brinksmanship with. The president of South Korea, Lee Myung-bak, is a very hard right-winger. He's basically destroyed all the inter-Korean dialogue that we've seen develop over the years. He's not very popular amongst many South Korean people. And yes, this ultimately could result in tensions leading to warfare on the Korean Peninsula.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this report is kind of received and what kind of repercussions happen because of it. Investigative journalist and RT contributor Wayne Madsen, thanks so much.